All right. Hello, everyone, and happy Friday to you. It is Fearless Friday once again, and I hope you're all having a great week. We are going to talk about something very important today. We're going to talk about being an entrepreneur and planning for retirement, which is something we may not always talk about. So I'm super excited to introduce you to Jeff Massey. He is the founder and president of Massey Associates. It is a wealth advisory firm, and they focus on retirement, tax, and estate planning. So, when I met Jeff, he's an excellent networker as well, you guys. So we can all learn from just that alone. I met him while I was out networking, and we started talking about different things, and I invited him on the show. So, Jeff, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate having you here.
Well, thanks for inviting me on. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. So, tell us a little bit about you and how you got started in your financial planning career.
Well, the story that I tell in the book that I've written, it's about, growing up in a poor family pretty much and not having things that kids I grew up with had. And I had a kind of a distorted view
Yeah.
about success and money as a younger person. Thankfully, I got that kind of squared away in my head when I was in my mid 30s. So now I have a better perspective on it, but it does drive me to help people so that they don't have to struggle.
Yeah.
And the more you plan, the better things will be, generally speaking. So, I mean,
Yeah.
anytime, my dad had lots of sayings, and one of which was flying by the seat of your pants. In other words, you're not going to have a plan. You're just going to start and see what happens. Well,
Yeah.
and I'll admit, when I started my practice, I didn't lay out a big business plan or anything like that. I just said, look, this is what I want to do, and I'm just going to stop working towards it. I didn't have
Yeah.
a mentor. I didn't have a parent that started the business and that I kind of migrated into it. It was, trial and error to get things
Yeah.
rolling. And it's kind of interesting how it's all developed. We have a very successful firm now where I have a team of 8 people, and we are looking to hire more financial advisors. So
Excellent.
we are on quite a roll, and I'm grateful for that because we help lots of families
I
and
love
business
that.
owners save for their future, for their retirement. Because look, as a business owner, and I'm a business owner first, right?
Right.
At some point, we want to have an exit strategy so that we can enjoy the fruits of our labor.
Yeah.
Hopefully we don't wait until retirement to start enjoying some of those fruits, but many of us do kind of sacrifice a lot for our business. I mean, let's face it,
Yeah.
we all
Oh,
work
yes.
tons of
Amen.
hours. Oh yeah. I mean, I remember when I met people early on, they said, "Oh, you own your own business. Boy, you must golf a lot." And I would just look at them with this puzzled look on my face saying,
Yeah.
"What do you mean? I mean, I work like 60, 70 hours a week. I don't golf." I mean, I do golf, but early on in my practice, I didn't golf at all during the
Yeah.
week. I mean, if I
Yeah.
golfed, it was on a Saturday,
Yeah.
so it's interesting how people have a different perspective, thinking that if you own your own business, you've got a life of leisure, where for
Oh,
most
yeah.
people, it is the actual opposite of that, isn't it?
I 100% believe that. I bet a lot of people in the group are saying amen to that right now. For sure. I'm so sorry. So Jeff not only is, a financial advisor, certified financial planner, but yeah, you have a radio show, Massey on Money, right?
Right?
You've spoken at tons of different professional conferences and different things like that. You've taught, seminars at local colleges. You have a book. I mean, you've been on ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. I mean, I didn't really properly frame you. I
That's
know you're
quite
being
okay.
humble, but
We're
we got the real
grateful.
deal here today, guys. This guy's the real
Yeah,
deal.
we are grateful that we get a lot of media exposure.
Yeah.
Just recently, I was on the news, actually yesterday morning, live news, because of the Feds raising the interest rates. And when that happens, they tend to
Yeah.
call me in to get my perspective as to what
Yeah.
we think might be going on in the
Yeah.
markets as we move forward. Well, right now,
Yeah.
the market is in a tough spot, and the stock market might actually revisit what's considered kind of the low point, which is about 3,600. Yesterday was at like 37.50 or so. So it may continue to go down a little bit more, but the expectation is that there will be support at that level, meaning that it might play around that level for a little bit and then move forward from there. At least that's what we're hoping. The
Yeah.
feds have been pretty clear with raising the rates, and they anticipate they have two more meetings. They anticipate having two more rate increases,
Oh my goodness.
hopefully not as high as a 0.75% point. They're expecting a half a point and then maybe a quarter point after that, at which point we expect it to plateau for a while and not have increases for a while. The tough challenge they have, the feds, is to slow down the economy,
Mhm.
to kind of take a bite out of inflation, to slow down inflation
Yeah.
without pushing the economy into recession. Now that is a fine line they've got to dance on, and
Yeah.
it's not an easy one. So
Yeah.
it's very important for them to take it slowly. They make a change and then they watch what happens.
Mhm.
Are the jobs, new jobs being created? That number is important. That number has to come down to help slow down inflation. And then they look at everything and then decide, all right, are we going to do a half a point next time or three quarters or 1/4 point increase? And then that, of course, has a lot of ramifications in the market as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a lot of mortgage and real estate clients just because, I came from that was my personal background. So when I started the company, my team and I, we work with a lot of uh mortgage and real estate professionals. So, even us as a marketing company, we're feeling the effects of changes in that as well, and what we're doing for our clients.
Well, the interest rate increases are absolutely impacting those industries. I mean, real estate is dramatically down. The number of listings, my understanding, is in the 500 range. Right
Yeah,
now, we're on a typical market, not the last few years, but a typical market, there could be 5 or 6,000 listings,
yeah,
which gives you maybe 5, 6, 7 months worth of inventory. When you're looking at 500, and that's
yeah,
everything. I had a very prominent realtor in the office this week, and he's the one that told me that. He said, look, and that counts everything from a little piece of land to a, 10, $20 million house. When you
yeah,
look at the more saleable properties, if you will,
yeah,
the 300s to 500s, there's not a whole lot there. So a lot of
yeah,
realtors. And of course, as a result of the slowdown with the realtors, they're in trouble. That filters down. So mortgage people are having trouble. The
yeah,
housing inspection services are having trouble.
yeah,
It
yeah,
dramatically impacts every industry related
right,
to real estate in one way,
right,
shape, or
right,
form. So it's
right.
kind of a scary time for realtors. At least that's my belief.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So let's talk about those, realtors are obviously the ultimate entrepreneur as well. So let's talk about, you know, what, how do you advise, clients to weather these storms, to, deal with, obviously a realtor is a great example because, that's an industry that has a lot of peaks and valleys and different changes in the market. So let's talk about, planning for life, right? And planning for those peaks and valleys, but also, planning ahead for retirement, which I know a lot of people, that's one of the main things we want to talk about is as an entrepreneur, how do you, as you're working so hard and hopefully making some money, how do you plan ahead for when you want to retire? But do you advise clients on how to weather those storms as well?
Well, one of the first things that many business owners, especially newer business owners, will look at to cut expenses, in my opinion, is the wrong place, and that's in their marketing budget.
Yep.
It is so important, and I'll tell you what, historically, you can show that people that continue to market during the tough times are the very businesses that come out of that tough period sooner and faster than the
Yeah.
people that pulled back on their marketing. So
Ooh,
you might have
speak
to
my language.
you may have to redirect your marketing, where the dollars are going, but
Yeah.
you absolutely need to continue marketing. That is absolutely critical. Now, let's hope that during these great last few years, I would think 3 or 4 years, real estate it has been a wonderful industry to be in and have made hopefully tons of money. And with that, two things. Hopefully, they're taking care of their income tax bill that they're going to have, because that can get a lot of people in trouble if you don't. And
Yes, for
secondly,
sure.
hopefully you've built up a war chest of money that you can fall back on during lean times, which right now I would suggest that this is going to be pretty lean for a lot of realtors. I've
Yeah.
had some realtors tell me that they anticipate thousands of people letting their real estate license go
Mhm.
because of this tough time.
Yeah.
And that is not uncommon. I mean,
Yeah.
when things are going well, everybody jumps in. They say, "Oh, I'm in real estate." They have a full-time job. They're doing something
Yeah.
else and they're dabbling, in my opinion. And there are
Yeah.
lots of people in the real estate market that do that. And
Yeah.
some do it for a while and then decide leave their full-time job and go into real estate full-time,
Yeah.
which is it's a great opportunity if you're willing to work for it. And a lot of people think
Sure.
that they don't have to work hard being a realtor.
Oh, yeah. And we know that is far from the truth.
Exactly right. It's a tough industry and it takes a lot of time and effort and connections and marketing, and
Yeah.
you have to put it all together. And then what do you do with the money that you do make? And
Right.
how can you reduce your taxes a little bit currently?
Mhm.
Now that's like a double-edged sword when it comes to saving for retirement. And what I mean
Yeah.
by that is this. There are times where during your working years, you're in a bracket which you might be much higher bracket than in retirement. That may be the case. It may not be the case. But let me give you a simple example when it comes to advice that we give folks that we work with. Right now, we're in the lowest taxes we are ever going to see. We will see a tax increase in 2026 because the quote unquote Trump tax plan that was put into place in 2017 started 2018. Things will revert back to 2017 in
Mhm.
2026. I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
a lot of dates there. So when they make a tax change like that, they have a limit as to how long they can do that, and then it has to revert back to where it was. That's a law in Congress, apparently. So what does that mean in real terms? So let's say right now you're in the 22% tax bracket and you want to save money and you have a retirement plan that you can save $10,000 in. It's an easy example to use. So
Mhm.
if you save 10,000 and you're in a 22 bracket, you'll save $2,200. Well,
Mhm.
in 2026, that bracket is going to have a 13.6% increase
Oh,
up to
wow.
25 bracket. So now you save 2,200 on that 10,000, but it's going to cost you 2,500 to get that same 10,000 out in the future.
Right.
So how does that serve you? It really
Mhm.
doesn't. So you have to
Yeah.
look at tax brackets. And
Yeah.
when you're deciding, should you save pre-tax dollars or after-tax dollars, you have to look at where's your bracket now. If you're going to be in the same bracket, then the math says pay the taxes now. If
Right.
you are going to drop down in a bracket, and it takes a little bit of effort to do all the math with that, then you might be better off to say pre-tax. So, and I've talked about this on my radio show. I had a doctor come in and she said, "Oh, yeah, I heard you say that Monday. I went and I changed and I decided to go." I said, "No, no, no, wait a minute. You're in the top tax bracket as a doctor.
Yeah.
You're highly likely not going to be in that bracket when you retire. So you should be saving pre-tax." And she went,
Yeah.
"Oh." So I always, there's a caveat, like the Ginsu commercial, don't try this at home. Meet with a professional to work
Yeah.
with the tax brackets, whether that's your
Yeah.
CPA or your financial advisor,
Yeah.
but work with a professional that has an eye on
Yeah.
the brackets as well as the advice as to should you say pre-tax or post-tax.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because I mean, you know, I think that most people, we have this preconceived notion of I need to have a 401k or an IRA or I need to save for retirement, but I feel like for a lot of us, and I know I'm guilty of this too, that's kind of where that knowledge ends, right? It's like, oh yeah, I have, I'm self-employed. I may have a Roth IRA or some sort of other IRA of some sort that I put some money in and I just don't even think about it. But, really as you get deeper into this, there's so many more complex levels to that you really need a professional to advise you on and get professional advice on that.
It makes a lot of sense with
Yeah.
that in IRAs, especially Roth IRAs. And the younger you are, the more likely it is that you should be saving with after-tax dollars. Because
Yeah.
if you're 20s, 30s, 40s, we have to look at it. We know taxes are going up in 2026. Do you
Yeah.
think that'll be the last tax increase you're ever going to see?
Probably not.
Hardly, hardly. The
Yeah.
federal government right now is in debt over $30 trillion.
Yeah.
$30 trillion. Now, how
Yeah.
big is that number? And I've shared this on my radio show a number of times. If you were to go back in time, just 1 trillion seconds, not minutes, days, or hours, just seconds,
Yeah.
how many years backward would you go? Take a wild guess. Take a crazy guess.
Um, the dinosaur age, maybe.
31,510 years.
Wow. And
That's
that's
how
just 1 trillion.
enormous. That's 1 trillion seconds. That's not even minutes. That's just seconds. That's how
Wow.
enormous our federal debt level is. So
Yeah.
to think that taxes aren't going up in the future is foolhardy.
Yeah.
So if you are younger, the general advice, and of course, meet with your professional on this, but the general advice would be save after tax.
Yeah.
And Roths, uh, you're limited. If you're under 50, you can only put $6,000 away. That's not going to have a big impact on your retirement in the future. So
Yeah.
as self-employed people, we like using some insurance-based products that are kind of neat because it allows you to fund the vehicle. It can grow tax deferred,
Hmm.
and yet you can access it on a tax-free basis if structured properly. And that insurance product, it's life insurance. Now,
Hmm.
a lot of people, when they hear that, go, "Oh, wait a minute, I don't want life insurance." Well, let me explain the differences. Life insurance, when we're younger, we want to pay the least amount of premium and get the highest amount of death benefit because we have a mortgage, we have young kids, we might have to pay for college, etc.
Hmm.
This type of a plan, we flip that upside down. We want the lowest amount of life insurance so that we can put the most amount of cash into that product,
Hmm.
have it grow tax deferred, and it
Hmm.
comes out tax free in the future.
Hmm.
And it's unlimited as to how much you can put in there.
That's
So unlike
amazing.
the IRAs that are limited to 6,000 if you're under age 50,
Yeah.
7,000 if you're over 50 and over, this, if you have a good cash flow and you can put in 15, 20, 30,000 a year, now
Yeah.
that'll have an impact on your retirement in the future. And the
Yeah.
best part, as we all know as business owners, we can have great years, we can have not so great years. So
Yeah.
the funding of these is flexible. So if you funded it for 2 or 3 or 4 years, and then all of a sudden you hit a tough spot in your business, you don't have to fund it for a while.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
then you can catch up on the funding in the future, which
Yeah.
is even better.
That's a great strategy. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of us out there that are like, wow, I never even thought of that.
Yeah,
That's a
well,
great
we
strategy
hear
to,
that a lot. We hear that a
yeah,
lot, where,
I
"Oh, I
believe
never thought of
that.
that." Yeah, well,
Yeah,
it's
for
like, well,
sure.
this is what we do. We live and breathe retirement planning. So
Yeah.
there's all different ways to go about doing that. Some are more traditional and some are not. Like
Yeah.
an individual could do what's called a solo 401k plan. And even if it's like a husband and wife team, they can still do a solo 401k plan. And that allows them to put a lot more money into retirement compared to like a SEP IRA or a simple IRA. Because there are
Yeah.
different vehicles that can be used as business owners. And it's really dependent upon, are you a solo practitioner or do you have a small team that works with you? If
Yeah.
you have a small team that works with you, if for you to maximize your savings, you've got to help with their savings as well. So it
Yep.
might not be as good. Where if you do an insurance-based type of retirement plan with the life insurance that I mentioned,
Yep.
um, you have total flexibility as to what you do with that and how much you fund.
I mean, that's such a great strategy. I think for us as entrepreneurs, we have to really, required to think out of the box for a lot of things. I mean, no matter what we're selling or what line of business in, we're all problem solvers, right? So, having options like that and learning, how to really manage our wealth. And I say that because I want you guys to start thinking, it doesn't matter if you started your business yesterday or 10 years ago, right? At some point, you're going to have profits, you're going to have wealth, you're going to have um something, right? So you've got to start thinking and get that mindset, that wealth mindset, right? And plan ahead rather than, like you said, like your dad said, fly by the seat of your pants, right? So even if you're sitting there now and you're like, well, I work 70 hours a week and I do all this stuff and I don't have time and I'm not making a profit. I think it's important, just based on everything that you just taught us, Jeff, that even if you're not making a profit, to at least start thinking about these things and start having the conversations. Because, if you're in business by yourself or for yourself, or you have a team or whatever, at some point you're going to make money, right? And you have
Well,
to
let's
know
hope. Yeah,
we hope, right?
yeah, it's so important to have a mindset for a business owner.
Yeah.
Mindset is where it starts. You've got to have the vision of where you want to go in your business, but you
Yep.
have to maintain a positive outlook. And
Correct.
years ago, I read a book called The Secret, and it hasn't been talked about a whole lot lately. But in my world, it changed my life. It changed my whole way that I go about thinking about things, being much more optimistic, having an abundant mindset, because
Mhm.
that just puts you in a much better space. And
Yes.
it's all about having a good positive energy. If you're
Right.
always, kicking the dirt and grumpy, well, that's negative, and that's not going to help you in business.
Yeah,
You need
for
to be
sure.
upbeat, you need to be positive, thinking about what's the best that could come of this, even in trying times. Like right now, certainly realtors, mortgage brokers, anybody associated with that business, you're in a tough spot. But you
Yeah.
have to maintain a positive attitude and say, all right, what can I
Right.
do? What else can I do? How can I potentially add something else into my business that can help me get through this tough spot?
Yep.
I don't have answers as to what that would be, mind you, but it's just
Right.
you have to come up with those as a
Right.
business owner.
Sure. So we talked about retirement. We talked a little bit about tax. Let's talk a little bit more about tax strategies. Do you guys help, you know, when we're talking about wealth and money that we're making from our business, how does tax, other than, pre-tax and post-tax, when you're putting money away for retirement, how do tax strategies factor into the equation for you guys?
Well, it circles back to the tax bracket that you're in. And it's
Mhm.
so important to just pay attention to that. And let me clarify, because a lot of people are still misunderstanding the tax brackets. So the lower brackets, it's 10%, 12%, 22, 24, 28, and it keeps going up to 37. But each of us pay that level of tax in each of the brackets. So if you're
Mhm.
in the 22% bracket, you paid 10% tax on some of that money. You paid 12% tax on some of that money, and only the amount that flows over into the 22 bracket is taxed at 22%.
Oh,
Where
okay.
a lot of people think if they hit the 22% bracket, they think all of their money is taxed at 22.
Hmm.
So you look at that, and that can also help you decide, should you save for retirement after tax or pre-tax?
Sure.
So, simple example, let's say you have $5,000 that rolled into that 22% bracket.
Mhm.
Well, you might as well save that in a pre-tax IRA account, because then you're going to save 22% on that money. And
Right.
chances are you'll be in a lower bracket in retirement.
Yeah.
So it's fine tuning things like that.
Yeah.
And of course, I always suggest working with CPAs. I've
Yeah.
done continuing education training for the Society of CPAs in Rhode Island, as well
Oh,
as the Public Accountant Association in Rhode Island. I've done training to both of those groups.
yeah,
So I love CPAs, I mean, and accountants, because they help us with an area. Although I talk about tax planning all the time, I hate taxes. I hate taxes. And
yeah,
most business owners hate taxes. They hate paying that, writing out that check to the government
oh
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah,
And the more profitable you become, the more tax you're going to pay.
yeah. And I
So
think,
we look for
you
ways
know,
to kind of cut down our actual expenses and what we can write off. That's why you want to work with a
yeah,
good tax accountant or a CPA,
yeah,
because
for
they can
sure.
help you with that. But we also want to look at taxes for the future. And
Yeah,
oftentimes, as much as I love CPAs, they want to focus on how can I reduce your taxes this year?
right,
Well, that might be short-sighted in the long run, especially when we know tax rates are going up in just a few years.
right, right, right. Well, the one thing I forgot to mention is Jeff, by the way, Jeff is a U.S. Army veteran, so thank you for your service. That is very near and
You're
dear to my
quite well.
heart.
Very proud of that. Very proud of
Yes,
that.
my dad was National Guard, so I am uh, I am being a veteran and having served our country is very near and dear to my heart. So I thank you for your service on
Yeah.
that. And I usually, close the show with a golden nugget. I feel like you've already given us a couple of golden nuggets, but I'll throw this one at you. So if you were speaking to a young entrepreneur, I know a lot of us in the group are real estate, related or direct sales. There's a lot of direct sales people in the group. There's a lot of single entrepreneurs. So for those of us that are young, just getting started in our businesses, maybe have a few years under our belt, what's the nugget of advice you would give that type of client if they came to you and said, Jeff, what do I do? What's my best strategy? I know it's different for everybody, but
Right. And it circles back to mindset for me. And having that positive mindset is important. And I'm sure, as your audience has probably heard before, pay it forward. In your
yeah,
mind, you should look at, how can I add value to somebody else, my target market? How can
yeah,
I add value to them? How can I do something that they would find valuable that might not necessarily cost me a lot of money?
hmm,
So building your list, in my opinion, is absolutely key. So email list, whatever that might be, I think that is so important. I heard that from a stage from a conference, and I go to like 10 conferences a year to
yeah,
stay up on things. And if people aren't doing and taking advantage of trainings like that, you really should, because you
yeah,
will pick up some nuggets at every one of these meetings. And they
yeah,
said,
for
build
sure.
your list. Well, we now have an email list that's over 20,000.
Wow,
And now we're
yeah,
filling our financial seminars through email marketing only. Now, to
that's
put
huge.
that in perspective,
Yeah,
in the past, we would have to mail out 10,000 invitations to fill up 2 nights of a seminar. Well, that was at a cost between $7,500 and $8,000 for that mailing. And now we're filling them with our in-house list.
yeah, that's
That's
huge.
huge. So build your list,
For free,
stay
basically,
positive,
right? I mean,
pay it forward.
build your list, stay positive, pay it forward. I love, 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 love that. That is 100% my jam. A mindset. I'm a big fan of mindset. We talk about it a lot in the group. That's why everyone we post something positive every day, right at the beginning of the day to, try to keep everybody motivated. And we get to talk to awesome people like you give to share their knowledge and help us all build our businesses here. So we are going to post links to Jeff's business. Please, if you're interested, if you need a financial advisor, if you want to talk to him more, please reach out to him and his team. They're excellent. If you go to any local networking events, you'll probably see him.
Yes, you might. And we have a book. We have a book from another author that, it's not my book, but it actually pertains to that cash value life insurance. And if
Oh,
anybody would
okay.
like a complimentary copy of that, they can reach
Awesome.
out to us. It's masseyonmoney.com. You can reach out to us there. It's very easy to remember. Massey,
MasseyOnMoney.com.
Massey on money.com.
Excellent. Excellent. And we'll post that in the comments so you guys can check it out. And thank you for that. We love that. You know, free offers and all those kind of things, exclusive things for the group. I'm sure everyone appreciates that. So we'll post that in the comments as well. But Massey, Massey on money.com. Check it out. And Jeff, thank you so much. I know you're
Quite
super
welcome.
busy, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today. We appreciate all your strategies, and I hope that you guys got value from this. And if you have questions, reach out to Jeff and his team. I'm sure they'd love to help you.
Absolutely. Happy to help.
Awesome.
All right, you have a great day.
We'll see you guys next week. We'll have someone awesome again. We'll talk about some awesome things that will help you in your business, further your business, and become a better entrepreneur. All right, you guys have a great week. Bye.